Kiss man.
Yes now, hey.
Good day. Welcome back to our YouTube channel. So if you're new here, my name is Stifler. So now we are factorizing by grouping in pairs. So if you haven't watched some of our factorizations, you can watch in that link that is shown there. So grouping in pairs is one of the simplest type of factorization. So we notice this type of factorization by having 4 terms. So if you're having 4 terms, it means that you can group these terms 2, 2. So we can take these 2 terms and these 2. If we're factorizing these terms, we first check what is common between these first 2 terms. So between these first 2 terms, we can notice that we can factor out 2 because this can be divided by 2, and you can also factor out m because it is there on those 2 terms. So it means that on this we can factor out 2m. So if we factor out 2m there, we'll be remaining with 3m minus n. And on the second value, so you might want to make this positive. So it means that we are going to take out a negative. So what is common there and there? We can see that p is common there and there. So we can factor out negative p, and this will remain as 3m. But since we factored out a negative where there's a positive, it will remain as negative. So negative n. So now we can see that this and this is common now. So we can put that in the bracket, and the second bracket will be this and that. So this will be 2m minus p. So now this is factorized like that. So this is how we do when you are factorizing in pairs. Maybe let's have 2 more examples that you can do. So let's take a look at these 2 examples that we're having there. And if you want to try this on your own, you can pause the video and try this and resume to get the solutions. So on these first 2 terms, as I said, we are going to group in pairs. So we're going to group this with this, and that with that, right? So what is common between these 2 terms? So we can see that x squared is common in these 2 terms. So we can factor out x squared. So after factoring out x squared, this will be x minus y. After factoring x squared, we'll be remaining with y. And here what is common? It is y. As you can see that y is common there and there. So it means that we can factor out y. So this will be remaining as y squared. Is that correct? Or this was squared. So we can factor out y squared, and this will remain as y minus x, like that. So now we can see that this is saying x minus y, and this is saying y minus x. So you have to note that y minus x can never be equal to x minus y. So what do we do now? So it means that if we're having a case like this, we might factor out a negative as well. So this is x squared, x minus y. So if we factor out the negative, this will be negative y squared, and this will remain as negative y plus x. So now we can rewrite this. So that will be x squared, x minus y, and then negative y squared, and then x minus y. So now it is in the form of x minus y, and that is our common factor. So we can factor that out as x minus y, and they will be remaining with x squared minus y squared. So we can see that in the second bracket, this is also the difference between 2 squares. So we can factorize that further. So we still have our x minus y, and to factorize that, 2 sets of bracket, our x, y, and then plus, minus, like that. So this, you can notice this from the difference between 2 squares. The link to that, you can watch that video there. We've already done the difference between 2 squares. So let's move on to the second question that we're having. So now, again, we are going to group this and that, like that. So what is common between this? We can see that x is common. So we can factor out x, and this will be 3x. If we remove x there, we'll be left with 3x. And if we remove x there, it will be remaining as 2y. So I said if the first term is starting with a negative, you can factor out negative. So what is common between these two terms? It is y. Y is there and y is also there. So let's factor out negative y. So if you factor out a negative there, it will remain as 3x. And a positive, after removing a negative, it will remain as negative. So that will be negative 2y. So now we can see that we're having 3x minus 2y, 3x minus 2y. So it is common in both. So this will be 3x minus 2y, and we'll be left with x minus y. And it is factorized like that. I hope you enjoyed this. Please support us by subscribing and also liking this content. So now let's move to the most hardest type of factorization in the next video.